This week we see Colter travelling to Chicago, and at that point you know something bad is going to go down because Chicago is 100% a shithole. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Entertainment here, the review tracker, Season 1, Episode 7. Yes, this episode title is called Chicago, and just not a place I would recommend anyone go. I'm sorry if you're from Chicago, but it's not a safe place. It's not a good place. Quite frankly, it sucks. But that was the location for episode 7. And in this episode, Colter Shaw is racing against time to track down a talented MMA fighter who has disappeared while trying to solve her family's troubles with their visa. Now, this episode I thought was slightly better than last week's. I think last week's episode 6 for me was the worst episode so far of this series. Now, I'm not saying there's a massive difference between the episodes. It's very similar. And like I said, each episode follows the same formula. So a lot of the episodes are around the same rating, you know, like there's nothing major happening. It's all kind of the same thing. Colter Shaw will accept the job. He will try and find the person. He'll look for contacts. He'll find the bad guy. He'll then find the person he needs to rescue. He'll take care of the bad guy. He'll rescue the missing person. He'll take them home and he'll collect his reward. That's pretty much how every episode goes. So, you know, you're not going to get anything groundbreaking. You're not going to get anything completely out the blue. You essentially know how every episode is going to play out. You know the beginning, you know the middle, and you know the ending. So therefore, it's very predictable, it's pretty stale, and a lot of the episodes do feel different. Now, of course, we have different actors, we have different characters, and we know we have different stories, so every episode is going to feel a little bit different, but at the same time, every episode certainly does feel the same a little bit, so the ratings aren't going to differ that much. But I do think this week's episode was slightly better than last week. So we're looking for Sun, who was played by Deanne Doe. Now, it turns out she's a pretty good MMA fighter, but she's went missing. And why is she went missing? Because she's illegal. Her and her mother, I believe called Apple, a bit of a weird name, but okay. Why didn't she call her daughter Banana? You know, that would have been a better name, but whatever. Apple is looking for help. Now, she can't pay Colter and she doesn't trust the police. However, Sun is a friend of Bob and he's kind of taking this case personal. So I don't know if he's willing to maybe do Colter a favour. Colter isn't getting paid for this, but because it's Bob, and I guess Bob is Colter's only friend really, doesn't really hang around with many people, Colter's willing to at least look into this case. So it turns out that they had some sort of immigration documents that they paid for, but they weren't legal, so they got robbed, and the guy that robbed them, the lawyer, turns out to be a shady person he's not even a lawyer, so he's like a fake lawyer, and he had no intention of really getting them proper documentation, and he led them down this dark path where they would have to borrow off loan sharks, essentially, and then they got into debt. Sun tried to, I guess, get revenge on the lawyer. She got captured by the loan sharks and she was made to fight until she paid back all the money that they owed. So that is what's happened here. Sun has been abducted. Colter Shaw tries to track her down. He goes to the gym where she trains at. He gets threatened by Art. He is the leader, the owner of the gym, and his protege is basically some big black guy that Colter doesn't want to mess with. Art does try and defuse the situation. He says, look, Sun was a nice girl. She's one of our better fighters. She's welcomed here. If there's anything we can do to help, we'll do it. And I hope you find her. But if not, then you got to let my guys train. So Art's trying to come across as a nice guy, but he isn't really a nice guy, and we find that out in the end. So Colter then goes to the fake lawyer. He gets information. He kind of interrogates him, and the lawyer tells Colter that, okay, look, I set these people up, I send them to loan sharks so they can get money to pay me, I can't get them real documentation, I'm not a real lawyer, I'm a scumbag, and I get them indebted to these loan sharks that make them do horrible things in order to pay back their money. So Colter manages to track down a couple of people that are involved with the loan sharks, and he manages to plant his phone and then follow the signal. So he follows them to this like underground fighting championship where he finds Sun. Now Bob comes and helps him. Sun is fighting. She's winning. She's doing well. Colter goes in, tries to get her out of there, but she says she can't leave. She hasn't paid off her debt yet. She needs to keep fighting or else they'll come after her and her mother. So at this point, Colter's like, no, look, we can fix this. We can sort this. But then he gets attacked from behind. Colter manages to somehow get the upper hand. Him and Bob and Sun work together, 3-on-1. They take this guy down. And just when they think they can escape, Art appears and Art points a gun at Colter. So Art was in it all along. He says she isn't going anywhere. Sun is staying until she pays back the money with these fights, till we win back what we need. And Colter basically challenges Art to a throwdown, but Art isn't having it. He's like, if I was 20 years younger and 20 pounds lighter, then maybe. But now I got other people fighting for me, so Art is not having it here. Colter, though, manages to push some container. It bumps into Art's like companion guy, his sidekick here. And then we get into a bit of a brawl. Colter manages to take down Art's backup buddy while Art makes a run for it. And then Bob cuts Art off in the car, which allows Colter to catch up. Colter holds Art at gunpoint. Bob has Sun in the car. The police are closing in, so Colter tells Bob to get Sun out of here, because obviously her documentation isn't legal, and if she gets caught, she'll get deported. So the police arrive. Colter gets Art locked up, and then Reenie, who obviously is friends of Colter, wants to help Colter, wants to help Bob. She knew a documentation and immigration person, and he managed to provide legal documents for both Sun and her mother, Apple, and now they get to stay, I guess, as American citizens. After this, Reenie and Bob, they want to hang out with Colter. They want to go out for a nice meal. The three of them, let's do some bonding. Family bonding, but Colter Shaw's too busy for that. He says he's got to go. He's got another job he needs to take, and he leaves with Reenie and Bob having a little bit of a discussion about Colter's family, the mystery behind it. Reenie was opening up to Bob about how Colter has never talked about his brother. There's a mystery behind his father's death, and it looks like Reenie wants to dive into this. She wants to maybe investigate it. Bob, though, says he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't spy on friends. There's like a code, and he isn't willing to break that code. So, doesn't look like Bob is going to go digging into Colter's past. Reenie probably would dig into Colter's past, but maybe isn't got the capabilities that Bob has got. So, I guess, unless Colter Shaw opens up about what's happened to him, with his father, with his family, with his brother, unless Colter Shaw brings that to the table with Bob and Reenie, then we're probably not going to find out what actually happened. But that is it, guys. That was Chicago, episode 7 of season 1. And like I said, it was an upgrade on the previous episode. The previous episode about the racehorse really wasn't that good. This one was slightly better, but still, very, very short. I feel like they do rush these episodes, trying to fit in every single, like, one little objective here. Like, what would be the harm in having, like, one of these missions, one of these rewards that he's taken? What would be wrong with having it carry into 2 episodes? I don't understand it, but for some reason, it's just a one and done. They rush everything. At the end of this episode, also, Bob and... I don't know if Bob and Sun are going to get together or they're just going to stay friends or whatnot, but I guess there was no chemistry there, but they kind of teased it as well, so I don't know if Bob is going to be eating Asian for the foreseeable future. Maybe get some nice, I don't know, Chinese food, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's the end of the episode. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It was okay, but it's not great, and unfortunately, the way this show's set up, the way every episode is pretty much the same, I don't think this show is designed to be great. I think, unfortunately, this show is meant to just be okay. I think every episode is meant to be okay. And unless they change up the formula and give us something different, it's going to be hard to see them break away from those boundaries that they've placed themselves into. So, yeah, guys, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Been Fog Entertainment. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. And, of course, until next time, peace.